All right, and now it is officially begun. The ride has been started. Welcome, everybody, to the Freedom Highway with your host, Billy Sunday, and your lovable co host, Shim.
Lovable. Right, that one, lovable.
The one that all the ladies love, Shim.
Matter of opinion for that one, but okay.
but anyway, yeah. So we're back. It is Saturday, and it is March 2nd, and it is 1 o'clock, and
Birth month of many babies, March.
it is the birth month. Many babies. Gotta put my rays on, and stay with my rays and my J's, if you know what I mean.
You put it on because it's too bright in here,
It's
yo.
too bright in here, yo. Y'all, I be flossing, I be icing, I be shining, no whining. Eh,
Showtime when in the sun.
yeah. And here on the Freedom Highway, we like to think deep, we like to go there. And so, what we're going to do this episode is Millennial Madness. We're going to explore the most sought after generation, the generation that everybody's talking about, the
Generation of
Millennials.
change, I should say. Generation to change.
The wary generation, as Tom Brokaw puts it. And everybody knows that Tom Brokaw is the voice of a generation.
I don't know that. I don't know who Tom Brokaw is.
I mean, he is the voice of people over the age of 75.
So not my generation.
So,
So not
I
my
mean, that
generation.
would be a generation, maybe not the millennial generation, and I really do feel that the millennial generation is in a way similar to the great generation, the silent, quote unquote, silent generation. But yeah, so we're gonna start. We're gonna do the little hour, and the little hour is going to be um by about the millennials, and hopefully we'll have a couple call-ins this time, and we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, no,
Yeah, we just
just
we just gonna
working
be
out some
random.
technical things in the studio as usual, and so we're gonna start here on the podcast. We are on the podcast. This is Podcast Central. Podcast people. We are the pod people.
Podcast City.
Nothing more millennial than a podcast. And
That's actually true.
we're gonna get to that. That we are going to start with the the question of, are we good or are we bad? And that's a big question going on in the millennial life. People want to know. We hear a lot about millennials. They're doing this great thing. They're multiracial. There's women in the workforce. They're smarter than ever. And then you hear these bad things like, oh, they're lazy and they just want to smoke cannabis all the time, and
Not all the
they
time.
all just like are on social media and think that they should be .com billionaires. So that's kind of like, where are we standing? And I, as usual, I like to kind of define the concepts that we're working with. Like, what? Okay, so are they good? Are they bad? How are we going to know if we don't even know what we're talking about? So we're going to kind of try to define what is a millennial. And like I said before, this is deep because I'm basically talking about myself. We're basically talking about ourselves. So, you know, and it really is a question of motivation for me personally, because when it comes down to who are you, a lot of it is what motivates you in life. Why do you wake up? Do you wake up to put high octane gas in your Mercedes Benz, or do you wake up to help your fellow man, or
First of all, I
do
wake up
you
to
wake
make
up to
change. up to make a change.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly,
I
right?
do.
People
So
wake up to make a change. I mean, you could wake up to, go get McWrap somewhere and
in Starbucks.
in a Starbucks. I mean, that's, I think that's how a lot of people wake up, but that's it's different than, questions of pure motivation. But I'm just kind of saying that aside, that when you're talking about millennials, we're talking about ourselves. So, um, and in general, besides just me saying that I am a millennial, we're going to have to say that there is a kind of defining characteristic of being a millennial, and that is the generation, the years that you were born in. That is,
The years you were born.
yeah, right. I mean, that's what a generation is,
Are we
right?
talking the years or are we talking about how old we are right now?
No, 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 no. We're talking about the years that you were
Oh,
born, like in the year you were born in.
because the age, age.
Age is defining, yeah, in the same vein, how old you are. Also, I think it would be basically from the 80s, like 1980, and that's a really early
1985.
1980, like um 5. Yeah, okay. 1985 when we go live on Facebook. Just to let everybody know. Yeah. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, being millennial and all
Live
that stuff,
everywhere.
live everywhere. The 1980s to about 2000, if you're born anywhere in there, you're going to be a millennial. And that's kind of, I mean, we represent kind of the two ends of the spectrum. I'm a little bit more towards the center than you, Shim, but I am towards the kind of older, like anyone who's probably like 3 or 4 years older than me is probably not a millennial, or if they are, they're like the very last year
They're like
they could be
baby
considered,
boomers. They're called baby boomers.
or Gen X,
Yeah,
I think. They're whatever's between a baby boomer and a millennial, which is a Gen X, I think, or it could be Y. I don't know why,
I
but
think it's Z, Gen Z.
it might be
Might be Z.
X, Y, and Z.
Maybe
But
it's X, Y, Z. Then you go back to M. What kind of alphabet is this?
I don't know. They just got lazy, so they started just naming generations after letters. But we are, I feel like that's kind of a almost an honorific because we have a specific name for our generation, like the baby boomers
They
or
don't give
the
us that
the
name.
great
What's that name
generation,
they have for us?
the millennial. It's like the simple fact that people talk about it makes it almost more, not, I don't want to say important, but like gives it like a certain amount of honor or like weight to be a millennial.
Well, yeah, because we are the future right now. What we
We
do,
are the
what we
future.
do affects the
True.
future of companies, economies, and everything. So
It's true. And that brings me to my first point, which is that we have some really defining characteristics in terms of fashion. Um,
fashion, not Kanye West type fashion.
Not Kanye West type fashion.
Dude had a nice
No,
shirt.
no,
Dude
no,
had a
no,
great
no,
shirt that
no.
says it costs $2,000. Like I could do that myself for
Yeah,
zero
right.
dollars. Like what's up with that?
I'm not really sure. Kanye West, I mean, I guess he's kind of a trendsetter, but in terms of fashion, there's like some people who follow his
He's not
trends,
a trendsetter
and
at
then
all.
yeah, and then there's people who are just like, this dude is crazy. Like, I don't know why he's doing
Smart
that.
people that say he's
Yeah,
crazy.
smart
Smart
people
people.
are just like, that guy's crazy. But you can never talk about the hipsters, the millennials, this generation in fashion and not talk about plaid, because
Plaid.
plaid is the single most important fashion thing for millennials. And the thing about plaid is that people don't realize, but plaid is actually tartan. a tartan. So if you were in, and it's a British thing, if you were in Britain, and you said plaid, they would think that you're talking about a kind of like thing that you wrap around, like you see the Scottish dudes with their kilts,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
then they
yeah,
have
yeah,
that thing that like goes like kind of like a sash.
yeah, yeah.
That's a plaid. That's a quote unquote plaid. So
But that actually makes sense because the design of it and everything looks flat.
it looks, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that makes sense.
And that's what a plaid is. So it comes from the Scottish clans, and it's just like a design basically, and it's made out of flannel, so it's a very soft. Most of it obviously nowadays is synthetic, but it is a very soft material, made, I believe, from sheep's wool
So
back in the day.
it's like silk, you know. You ever feel silk like the smooth and runs through your
Yeah,
hair?
it's very,
It's like the best
very
feeling
soft.
ever.
It's like silk, but I believe it's more durable. So it is used for people like, who work outdoors, and that's why a lot of the Scottish like fishermen type dudes would wear it. And that's basically, if you said plaid in Britain, they wouldn't know what you're talking about. But if you said tartan, then they'd be like, "Oh, okay," and then they would show you a bunch of different plaids, basically. Yeah. So that's plaid, and I have a couple plaid shirts. I think I have a plaid scarf. Um,
Wait, do I have anything plaid?
I used to
I
have
don't
a
think I
plaid
have. I don't
kilt,
think I have anything plaid. I was
uh,
about to say.
but I
A
lost
kilt.
that kilt. Yeah, I used to
Oh,
have a
you had a
kilt.
kilt.
I had a
I don't
kilt.
mean you had a
I
skirt.
bought.
You had a skirt.
I had a skirt. I had a kilt. Don't laugh.
Well, a
I
skirt.
had a skirt. Okay, I used to have a skirt, but it was a man skirt. It's like a man
No,
purse, but
no,
it's called a
no,
man skirt.
no. It's a skirt.
It's called a
It's a
kilt,
skirt. Nope.
and I used to just bust it out every once in a while. Like when I was in the right mood, I don't know, I would just wear it.
You just gotta breeze it out from time to time.
Just from time to time, bust the kilt out. Why not? But yeah. So that's the story of plaid. The story of plaid on an ancient morning, many thousands of years ago. Some dude was like, "Wow, that pattern looks really awesome. I want
No,
it
no,
to
no.
represent me and my entire family forever."
It looks awesome, but I also need to breeze out under there so
Yeah, and
I can wear it out. Something
well,
that
yeah,
is
I think
fashionable for my clan, but also breathable.
I
What to
think
make?
that
What to make?
when you think about it, dudes wore quote unquote skirts since like, what are togas? I mean, a toga's like a bed sheet. You know what I mean? Like,
Toga is a dress, but okay.
yeah, I mean, like dudes, we weren't wearing pants until like, I don't know, the Middle Ages. Sometimes dudes in ancient days, no one wore pants. Pants weren't a thing in Egypt. And when the aliens were building the pyramids,
Oh, you don't want to get into this topic. Not today. Not
they didn't wear
today.
pants. They
Not
wore
today.
kilts. So yeah, that's the story. That is the story of plaid. And what can you say? It's a long, long history. Many myths and legends have been fought and died and killed for wearing plaid. And it's like the super fashion for millennials. If it were a piece of food, I would call it an avocado because it's like the superfood, you know? And that brings me to our next point.
Avocado is a poor millennial food, by the way.
Yep.
It's the poor one. You can make avocado toast, put it in salad. It's a poor people food for millennials.
That's why we all don't have houses. We just have refrigerators stuffed full of avocados.
You want to go that deep? Okay, then
Well,
that deep.
I mean it's not that we don't all have houses. I have some friends that have houses, but we love our avocados. And that is another millennial thing, is our love of avocados.
So a level
We
of
love
freedom, but okay.
we love avocados. We love freedom. But avocados are a superfruit. They contain tons of vitamins and nutrients, fiber, protein, very low carb. So yeah, eat your avocados. And like you said, they are. I mean, you could call it the poor person's food, but they are good on almost anything in a lot of different ways. You can put it on a salad. You can just slice it and eat it plain. Still get a lot of nutrients. You can make what is it with the so it's like they put the onions and the tomato in it and the lime and it's a dip.
Oh, guacamole.
I yeah, guacamole, baby. Gotta get that guac on the show. We get that guac here. We get our guac on Millennial Life. Get your guac on. So yeah, that is Millennial Life. Eating avocados in plaid would make you probably the most toughest millennial. Which I have some plaid at home, so I think I'm gonna make some avocados tonight, and and have it while I'm in the plaid. And the avocados and plaid, like what is more millennial than eating avocado, wearing plaid while being on your smartphone?
Avocado in your skirt. Mm,
Bro,
that seems millennial
so
enough for
what's
me.
so wrong with wearing a skirt? Oh, okay. Maybe that's just the British side of me. Maybe that's the British side of me, you know? But yeah, the avocados, plaid, and looks like I only have YouTube to work with today because if you're listening to this post on Facebook, I'm apologizing ahead of time for the poor connection. But yeah. Anyway,
Get your stuff together.
Facebook, yeah. I mean, I guess you'll get the recording, but the recording always comes out choppy. Everybody knows that. Anyway, on a smartphone, if you're eating on Facebook on your smartphone, avocados in plaid, boom, you're a millennial. Even if you aren't of that age group, just feel the vibe, feel the millennial vibe. And smartphones, like what can you say? That is the one huge technical thing that has kind of revolutionized
The way we live, basically.
everything. The
Yeah.
way we live, the way we talk to each other, how we wake up in the morning. The first thing people do a lot of times is grab their smartphone,
I know that's me in the morning. That's what
right?
that's definitely me in
That's
the
me
morning.
in the morning. I grab my smartphone, check what time it is, see if I missed, see which one of my friends drunk dialed me at, see which one of my friends
No,
called
for
me
me,
at 2 in the morning.
for me, which is a lonely life. I got to like check and see. You know what? Who texted me? Oops, no one, zero. I'm damn.
No.
I'm so lonely.
You hear that, ladies? You hear that? Shim's a lonely man. Anyway,
Whoa, that sounds desperate, but
that was
okay.
it was a little bit desperate. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going a little bit desperate right now. A little bit desperate. Anyway, they call me Bill Clinton here. That was my Bill Clinton impression. It was good, right? Wasn't it good?
Sounds like
That was
you,
pretty
yeah.
good. All right, everybody. Thumbs up. All right. So yeah, smartphones as opposed to feature phones. We have feature phones.
Wait, what are features?
Feature phones are like, you remember that phone that you had that was like almost a smartphone? It had like the color display and it was like you could kind of get on the internet with it.
I remember phones like that.
Yeah.
Those were the smartphones of the early
They're like
2000s.
technically smartphones, but they're like like took you like 5 minutes to load up one page.
Thank God for Apple.
Yeah, thank God for Steve
Jobs.
Jobs. But yeah, so as opposed to the feature phones of the early 2000s, we now have smartphones. That is the hallmark of growing up as a millennial. you have these phones, you have smartphones, and that actually reaches outside of the millennial generation because you have now this generation being born past the year 2000 and they only knew smartphones. I know what a feature phone. I know what just a regular cell phone is. That's
I
like
actually remember like going through like prep school and like kindergarten with like a regular Nokia, you know,
yeah, the
and like
Nokia phone with the
exactly.
green and black
Yeah, I remember going
display.
through it with a Nokia, and then they had like the Razor, the Motorola
And the
Razor.
Razor, that
Yeah,
was like a
yeah.
feature phone. They had little features. You could take pictures, send them. And
Then
now we
then we
have
had the BlackBerry, and then we get the
the
iPhone.
Blackberries, then the iPhone,
Yeah,
official smartphone. You can do anything basically that a computer can do, except without the keyboard. But like you have Alexa, so what does or Siri, so what does it matter? But yeah, smartphones, big thing for us. Smartphones, advanced technologies. That's the millennial life. And speaking of that, I want to, say welcome to if you're tuning in on Facebook. Welcome, Jack. What's up, dude? To the Freedom Highway. It is about 1:20 on Saturday, February 2nd, and you are watching on Facebook or on YouTube. Stream us live. Catch us on Castbox.fm.
dot FM.
It's a .fm. If you type in Castbox.com, it's like I think it's like a home security website. So you have to do Castbox.fm. But yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. So that's cool. Technical stuff. We'd like to bring you guys in behind the scenes, as usual, behind the scenes, keep it fresh. And the smartphones, and you know what? What is goes more hand in hand with smartphones and Castbox than and I don't want to be controversial, so I'm going to say this as GIF or GIF with no favoritism to either one, but the little, memes and the little funny ha-has that you see on Facebook, on
People, memes.
whatever, like where it's like a picture of I don't know, Will Ferrell, and he's like dressed like an elf, and it says something funny like, "Oh, I hope I get Skittles for Christmas" or something. I don't know, like, it just like
I know you
it
say
just
that.
says
I know you say
it
that.
just says
On
something.
Christmas time, you're gonna see something
There's
just
gonna
like
be
that.
something just like it's always Will Ferrell like dressed up like an elf, and he says saying something ridiculous. But yeah, so that that goes kind of hand in hand with the way we really get into social media here. Social media is a very, very big thing for us. And I'm not just saying that because we're on Facebook or because we're on YouTube or because I'm always on social media posting, trying to, just get people to watch, get views because I love my audience, but because that's part of who millennials are. And I'm not going to, go any further because I don't really want to get too much deeper into who millennials are. But that's a very metaphysical question. It's a very metaphysical question because it deals with concepts of self. And when you talk about concepts of self and metaphysics, a lot of that is something that you could learn at a college with a college degree at a university
For some people,
for some people. And that is one thing, is that we as millennials, we talk about that stuff. A lot of us are smarter, you might say. We possess more college degrees, especially the women in our generation.
especially the women. That's true.
And we, I mean, I don't know if it's always such a great thing to be smart because sometimes it gets you in trouble.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing to be smart. It's a great
Cornell
thing.
West.
I mean, yeah, like you could be smart and get in trouble, but the smart part is getting out of trouble.
The smart part is not getting caught in the first place.
But what if
The
you want to get
11th
caught? What if you want to
commandment.
get caught because you want to prove people that you're smart?
Yeah,
Just
right?
think.
I call it paparazzi on myself, son. Woo! Yeah. So no, we're smart, we're cool, and that's just like millennial life. We're smart and we're cool, and we call it paparazzi on ourselves. And that is one thing. We possess a lot of college degrees, more so than any other. I mean, I remember growing up and it was like, yeah, back in the day, you could get a job, when I was in high school, if you just graduated from high school.
Hmm.
That's what they said back in the day. Now,
Now you have to have a college degree right now. That's for sure.
now you can't, you can't do anything unless you have a college degree. Like,
So
so
we saw millennials are changing,
shows.
man.
It just
How
goes
you
to
guys
show,
changing?
yeah. This goes to show we're definitely changing. We're up there with one of the big generations. I think we're like top 3 generations in terms of generations, just like impact that we had on America.
Top three. I think we're
We're
top
top
one.
3.
I
We
think we're
could
top
we
one.
could we could be
We're
top
one.
one. We
We're
could
number
be
one.
number one. We
We're
are
number
number
one
one.
because we bring change right now. We're living in the
We
now.
live in
We're
the
living in the
now.
now, and we're bringing change now.
I'm bringing it right now. And so that's millennial life. We got a lot of college degrees. We like to analyze things. We, maybe sometimes we're over skeptical, but can you blame us? Can you blame us?
Don't be over skeptical.
Can you blame us? But yeah, so that's that is one defining characteristic of the millennial life is that we are very much college oriented. We have a lot of student debt that we're trying to pay off. And just in terms of,
Getting back to student debt,
yeah,
that actually affects everything millennials do. You know that, right?
I know we were
I mean,
talking
like
about this earlier.
can't
Yeah,
even
it's,
buy a house, not even buy a car because of these debts.
I know you can't even walk out the front door because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna buy like, I might spend $10 on a Panera sandwich, and you're like, then where does it go from there?
Next thing you know, you have to owe them $1,000.
Next thing you know, you got a credit card with the, exactly. But we don't really believe in institutions like big banks and credit cards. We don't, by comparison to other
No
generations,
idea.
have very low credit card debt or none at all. By comparison to a lot of generations, we just don't. We just don't have faith in big institutions. We don't have faith in banks. We don't have faith in Congress. That is actually the lowest thing that we have faith in is Congress. We don't have faith in media, news media.
I have faith in some news media.
Yeah.
Some of them, not all of them, but some of them give me the truth, what I want to hear.
Oh yeah, which ones? Yeah, you
Do I
got to
really
think
have
about
to say?
that
Do I
one.
really have to say?
Yeah. Oh, you
Do
got
I
to
have to
say.
say?
You got to say it.
Okay.
It must take a while. I'm definitely one of those that's,
What if I don't want to say? What if I don't want to say what it is?
as long as it's not Fox News,
Oh
I'm
hell no!
pretty sure you'll be
Definitely not Fox
fine.
News. Definitely not Fox News. Me, I'm a CNN type of guy.
CNN, okay,
CNN.
yeah. CNN's okay. I mean, they're kind of status
I look at
quo.
that Anderson Cooper,
They're status
Don
quo.
Letterman,
Yeah. CNN isn't as vitrolic as things like Fox, which just blatantly lies to you. And it's like they know that they're lying to you. It's
Hey, who's not
they're
lying?
lying to you, YouTube. This is to all of the, really conservative people like on YouTube, all of those guys, they're lying, It's like they're all lying to you.
And next thing you know, YouTube changes it block.
Block, yeah, right. All of a sudden the stream, oh, no connection. No
We
connection.
lost
Huh? How
connection with
did that
YouTube. I'm
happen?
so sorry.
I wonder how that happened. But yeah. So we don't have faith in that. We don't have faith, we think everybody's spying on us. There's no privacy. And so that's part of the thing about being a millennial. We destroy American institutions. Speaking of millennials, I have a millennial in the room right now. Um, say hi, millennial.
Hi.
That's a millennial. I keep millennials around. They're cheap, so
They're cheap.
they only need like 2 avocados a day.
Oh my.
um, yeah. So, what do you think? What do you think about American institutions, Sasha, Miss Millennial? What do you think about like banks in Congress?
See, let's go.
It's not
Let's
gonna go
go
to
with
debt. It's not gonna go to
bitcoins.
debt.
Oh, that's a good one. Bitcoins. No, that yeah, because I don't.
You see, but the thing is, Bitcoin is a wide topic that not many people know about.
Yeah, I mean, if I ever had like a bajillion, if I ever like stumbled across some massive fortune, I would definitely sink a lot of it into Bitcoin.
Nope, nope, bad choice.
I know, but that's kind of the point, you know, because it's like a currency that is attempting to create the exchange of, goods and services by facilitating that without big banks. So it's like really the most hipster, institutionless thing, Bitcoin. But, I mean, the way that the market is set up and everything nowadays, you're right. It is like, if you were like trying to really, like 10x your return or whatever, then Bitcoin is not. You got to really, really innovate if you want to be on Bitcoin. That's that's one of the things you got. And another, a couple institutions that we've destroyed, or I mean, we're trying to destroy the banks, but we can't. We definitely can't do that without all the other generations. So, but one thing they say we're destroying, but I think is kind of controversial whether we are or we aren't, is sports,
It's sports and
baseball,
the beer industry.
hockey, and beer. Um, the McWrap,
What rap? Wait,
the
wait,
the
is
McWrap.
the McWrap something from McDonald's?
Yeah. So you don't even know? Do you never even heard about the McWrap? Probably
No.
because it was rather short lived. I had a couple now and again back when I used to eat fast food junk like that, but I can see why. Because it's really like appealing to like the lowest common denominator. It's like you want to go to McDonald's, which like everything at McDonald's is trash food basically, and you want to order a McWrap. It's like no one's gonna go there to order a McWrap. People go to Burger King and McDonald's to order the triple
Double pounder.
pounder with a
Bro.
milkshake and you know,
Oh, I just realized I haven't had a milkshake in a long while.
that's a good thing, bro. Milkshakes are really bad for you.
I want one. I need to try one
You
next
should
time.
try avocado shake. They're pretty good.
You should try a coconut milkshake,
No, that I've never tried before.
like a coconut milk shake, but not with like dairy milk.
I've never tried that before.
Yeah, you can make shakes with all kinds of stuff. It doesn't have to be milk. It could be just called a milkshake, or you could just call it a shake. You can even put avocado in it. And so, yeah, we destroy a lot of institutions like that, the McWrap and all that stuff. And the American household, too, is the American household is like, you know, I can't afford a house, so I'm just going to
Yeah,
rent
basically just broke
and,
down.
not have kids because that's just how the economy is. What? You know, what?
Um,
Uh,
wow.
like, what?
I didn't have anything to say. I just laughed, but I agree.
It's like, I'm really like, I'm not trying to be ironic because that's just kind of how it is. But yeah, that's a lot of households are declining in terms of our generation. Our generation
You
lives,
say like in terms of buying houses?
yeah, well, I mean, just in general, like buying houses and the amount of income per household, and the amount of single mothers, um, and just other statistics like that are deteriorating at the households of the millennial generation. Yeah, households just I that is like
One thing I can say that we millennials are real risk takers, that's for sure.
yeah, oh yeah,
To
we
risk
do.
buying a
Yeah.
house this early in their lives.
People used to buy houses earlier though.
Yeah, what do you mean? What age is early?
What age is early?
Yeah, for you.
For me,
Or don't you think it's early?
20. 20 is early.
What age do you think is early? 20 is early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are 20-year-olds buying houses though? Who?
Who?
Yeah.
I don't know them personally. I know 20%. I know 20-year-olds buy houses.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, Sasha. That 20, I don't.
This is
20-year-olds buying.
it's like 20
There's
it's
probably
like
not a
20s
lot.
to like 30s, 30, 20 to 30 year olds are
Yeah.
buying houses.
Well, isn't that typical? That's what they did back in the day too, if you think about it. Yeah, because there people were young, people got married younger too when you were back in the days. You were married like 18, 20 when you were younger, and then you would buy a house or you would like live with your parents and then saved up to buy a house. It's kind of the same thing, but I don't think millennials are buying houses right now. I think they're more so renting or staying home. Is the
Yeah,
typical norm for millennials. They're staying longer with their parents. A lot of millennials are still with their parents up until like they're in their late 30s right now is what the statistics are like showing. Sure. Yeah.
definitely another critique on the millennial household is that we ain't got them. I'm living with daddy in the spare room because he only charges 200 in rent. So that's less expensive. So that's part of the handicap of our household. But yeah, households big thing that goes down. Um, we're changing a lot of things. We're changing households. We're changing institutions, destroying institutions, and we're also
Wait, but
innovating things.
are we changing or are we technically destroying?
Well, I mean, we are destroying a lot of things like the Mick rap. I don't think necessarily that these things, needed to be there in the first place. Maybe we're kind of getting rid of the old to bring in the new. I think that's kind of like the MO of our generation is out with the old, in with the new. Um, and we like to innovate. I think that's one of the biggest things that we do,
That's actually true.
because we take the old things and we make them new.
Look at Facebook.
Look at Facebook, look at the internet. It's not really that old, but the way we're using it is like shaping and changing every day. And look at crock pots because the crock pot's been around for a long time, but I mean, come on. That vegan stew that you had the other day with that bay leaf and rosemary was delicious. Potatoes and carrots and stuff. And even if you don't eat vegan, then you really, you understand the tenderness of whatever meat it is you choose. And so yeah, crockpot life.
Not crackpot.
And not Quaker life, crockpot life. But yeah, we innovate. We take things that are here, that are old institutions that we don't like, and we make it and we change it into something new. We innovate a lot. We innovate.
We are the innovation
Generation.
Innovative. Innovative.
Yeah.
Innovative.
Just like the show, just like everything, we take age old things, whatever, who knows? Maybe one day it'll be democracy. We'll take these age old ideas and we'll make it new. It might take some time, but I think we can do it. I think we can. We like to innovate old concepts into new that help society. We made the crock pot cool. Yeah, we don't have credit cards. These are all another great innovation, plogging. I'm not sure if anybody's heard of plogging. But
Yes, I have. At first I was like, what is vlogging? But they it was like a huge thing on Facebook at one point where it's like people are like when they go jogging, they're picking up the trash in the like around the neighborhood. And or not neighborhood, or like if they go to like a park, then they'll pick up the trash or whatever, and that way it's like you're doing good for the environment because like a lot of millennials are more so like into like the environment and nature and like preserving. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
yeah, so we do plogging, we jog and pick up trash, so we're helping the universe and ourselves get some steps in.
We're not ready for Mars yet, Elon Musk. We're not ready for Mars yet.
We're not ready for Mars. No. Yeah, so plugging is cool. I thought that was cool. Oh yeah, and being watching, let's see, Time magazine. Uh they used the G word, which they used the G word.
God.
Oh, really? That's what you think of when I say the G word? No, not God. I mean, I guess so. Yeah, people think that the G word is God. Um, but no, I'm talking about that Chang Chang, son. Talking about that Chang Chang, that green, the money, flossing, billionaires club, son. Billionaires club in the basement. It's called the Basement Billionaires Club, and that is called being G word fabulous.
Fabulous.
Yes. I couldn't say it because it is deemed offensive by some people, but Time magazine, on the cover of their magazine, said that millennials are ghetto fabulous.
First of all, what does Time Magazine know about Ghetto Fabulous? That's a
That
mystery.
that is Time magazine is right up there with me with Congress in terms of like news media institutions that we could definitely do without. It's like they're calling Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin and Richard Nixon, who was a Quaker, by the way, man of the year. I know, right? Richard Nixon was a Quaker. God.
First of all, it's called
But
Man of the Year, not Men of the Year.
okay. Yeah,
God
I
damn,
don't know, what
so
do you
many of them.
mean?
And they're all evil too. What the hell?
I know exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like just because people are talking about them and like it's basically like gossip. You know what I mean? It's like who's the most gossiped about person of the year? Why is that? That's not something that we should be talking about, you know?
But it's something we do. So
But it's something that sells magazines. And you are listening. If you are just tuning in now, you are listening to the Freedom Highway with Billy Sunday, my co-host here, Shim, and the beautiful Sasha Ovell Savage.
Hi.
And it is
you give her
about
full name.
12 143 on Saturday, March 2nd. Catch us live, Facebook, YouTube. Go on to castbox.fm to stream us after the fact. Recorded live. I don't edit anything. The only thing I put a little theme music on it. Where's my theme music? Mr. Cooper, you guys watch Mr. Cooper? No, you never watched Mr. You were on the island, so you don't even know. You know what Mr. Cooper is?
The show, the TV show.
Yeah,
I don't remember if he said, "Where's my theme music?" I don't know.
yeah. At the beginning of the show, he's like playing basketball, and he goes, "Where's my theme music?"
I don't remember. It was a good show. I just don't even remember what it was about, but I just remember it was good because I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to watch Mr. Cooper. That was my show back in the day. He was like the. He was like the.
Like everybody had a show. Like LL Cool J had a show. Martin. Who else? Live. In Living Color. That was still in the
Yeah.
millennial. That was still in the millennial time frame.
Yeah. So that's that is me being fabulous, and
Ghetto Fabulous.
I can't say that word. I'm not allowed to on YouTube. Ghetto. Right? But Facebook, I'm not allowed to say that word on Facebook. Okay. There's just like
What?
there's so many different nuances between YouTube and Facebook that it's like YouTube is like I don't even know why I'm on YouTube. Like I honestly don't know why I'm on YouTube
First
right
of all,
now.
YouTube is a
Shouldn't be on
copycat.
YouTube.
YouTube is a copycat. Let me sorry, not YouTube.
Facebook.
Facebook is a copycat.
I like
bad.
Facebook.
Facebook is a copycat of YouTube. YouTube was one that brought in the live feed first.
And then Facebook brought in the live feed.
Instagram copy Facebook after.
Actually, no. Facebook, Instagram's owned by Facebook.
No, Facebook owns Instagram. Yeah. And
So basically,
so I guess so they trickled it down. But I don't think at the time Instagram went live, I don't think Facebook closed the deal.
no. Actually, they did.
Oh, okay. All
That was
right.
like in like 2015, 2016, where they bought
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Instagram's doing live too.
But what Facebook is doing now, since they couldn't acquire Snapchat, they said, "Oh, let's put Snapchat stuff on Facebook and Instagram."
Oh yeah, because Instagram has all the filters now, which their filters are pretty good.
And I was just watching an episode about AI, a TV show about AI that was talking about filters. Is pretty interesting. The technology behind that. Yeah, no, seriously, the technology behind like face swap. Think about it. They did a face swap with Barack Obama. Did you guys ever see that? Where like during his presidency, they did a face swap with one of the like Kyle and Peele, whoever those guys are, and you know that one of and he does like the most amazing Obama impersonation. Like you can't tell the difference. They used that same technology, that face swap technology, and they face swapped him with Obama, and he was doing that voice, and like you can't tell the difference between a YouTube video of Obama and then a face swapped YouTube video of Obama saying whatever this guy who all he has to do is have like a semi decent impersonation and he could make Obama say anything that he wanted to. But yeah, so there's some serious technology right on your smartphone. Obama. Make Obama angry. Yeah, I don't. That's over my head. There's too much pop culture for me, bro. I'm still on like Sons of Anarchy, but I'm still on Sons of Anarchy and Walking Dead. But yeah, I get my my hooks in, and you know, speaking of shows and stuff, what is more millennial? A TV show, not the Sons of Anarchy, not. What's more millennial than the Freedom Highway, than this very podcast? I think that there's just something, and that's where I start to get that feeling of like, you know, what am I really talking about? You know, because I have to start talking about the show. Because it just is. It's just so millennial. Me being on a podcast, on streaming on Facebook and YouTube, and listen on Castbox. It's very, very generational. This show, The Freedom Highway. I think that's pretty good. The Freedom Highway. I think that it represents a lot of who we are. If I may be so bold. And so yeah, the Freedom Highway. And you know, if you're gonna be on the Freedom Highway, there's gonna be some people who won't see it your way. Because that's part of the Freedom Highway, is that we get to say what we want and people get to react to us how they want. Do we have to pay attention to them? No. Yeah. Do we have to read the comments? No. Do I care if you comment on my Facebook? I don't care if you comment on my Facebook.
I mean,
you know, I care if you view it, and I care if you hit like, you know, and I care if you leave a nice, cool, positive comment about like, you know, great show, you know, really interesting, keep doing your thing, you know. But if anybody like makes jabs or jokes or something, or like, that's why, you know, I don't even really read the comments. Jamie Foxx. No, I don't even read them. I don't even...
People's posted mean comments under your videos.
There's always comments, but I don't think we're popular enough to have mean ones.
Oh. Me
either. Yeah, and even if I did, I would do my best just to ignore them. But yeah, this show is very millennial.
Comments. I think as mean as these comments could be sometimes, the mean comments really help you grow. I mean, I don't think they need to see me, but anyway, so the mean comments I feel like really help you grow as like a person. More so because even though it's like a mean comment per se, is not necessarily mean, because is someone's opinion, but I feel like if they are making mean comments to you, then it makes you grow as a person. Like you're able to be like, all right, you know what? That's not who I am. Whatever they're saying about me is not me. And I'm my own person. And you make your own assumptions of who you are. And if you know who you are, then don't let those mean comments take you down. Even though I'm not there yet for those mean comments, but bring them on. Bring them on.
Give me that back. Another technical difficulty here. Only two microphones and oh so many voices who want to be heard. Yeah. So yeah, this gets it's going there. That's we have to rein it in a little bit here. So there are some things on the Freedom Highway that might not be as sweet. They might be a little bit salty, and that is the millennial generation, the me generation. People talk about the millennials. They talk about us, and it ain't always good. They call us the me generation. Maybe they're jealous. Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. It's all very, very
Me because we're the
Rousseauian.
ones that has to live with what past mistakes happen,
We do.
and then we're the ones that have to make sure that other generations after us have a little bit better. So we have to set an example for other generations.
It is. We do have to set but I think that in and of itself too is also very Rousseauian. It's the idea that you can exist in one generation, but live through the next. It's kind of like saying we'll never get to where we want to be in this generation, but the next generation will get there just because of evolution or because of whatever you want to call it. So I think I think it kind of is people being stuck in this kind of old way of thinking that, our generation is somehow, has this huge, and that's part of being a perfectionist, huge burden to solve everything. And that's why they hate us, because it's like we haven't, solved the financial crisis, and we haven't solved global climate change, and we haven't solved your 401k, and it's like we're never going to solve that with all the other generations helping us, and we're never going to solve that. We need everybody. We need the great generation, we need the ones that are left in that generation, and we need the baby boomers too. So yeah, they call us the me generation. That's the big one. The me, that we're selfish. Don't only care about what's mine. And yeah, another thing that they say that isn't so good is that we're lazy.
I think that's a hard no or not.
Yeah, I honestly don't think we're lazy. I think maybe we've been hamstrung a little bit by technology.
I think that our generation is lazy as far as like building, or like the generation before us were building things and creating things, but I feel like our gener our generation is a little bit like, I don't know, I feel like I don't know how to explain it, but like our generation isn't lazy as far as innovation and creating new things and creating new opportunities, and in that sense, but as far as being like creating buildings or pouring concrete or working hard to the bone, that's not the millennial generation. The millennial generation is more driven by technology. But if you think about it,
That's actually true.
yeah. And but the thing is, like, we'll build technological things and create those, because I mean before people didn't have apps and people didn't have this and that and all these things. But what we don't do is, I feel like we say we think for ourselves, but the apps tell us what to do. The apps say like this picture, or the app says, "Oh, someone just went live," and then you go look at their live thing. You're just being run by your phone or your laptop or your tablet. So it's like, do we really have our own mind, even though we think that we do?
Yeah, no, that was good. Where are you going? No, stay here. We're almost done. We only got a couple more minutes here on the live feed. And am I being lazy or am I being live? You know? And that's where I say that we're hamstrung by the technology, because I kind of just let the technology take. I let all of the hijinks.
You have the technology, right? Why not use it to your advantage? That's the thing.
Yeah, I know. So we do. People call us lazy. And we also have a lot of cannabis loving, which I think might be somehow tied in with the laziness.
Probably.
Yeah. They always say, it kind of depends. There are people who are highly motivated that can use cannabis and still not be super lazy. And then there are people who just abuse it all the time and sit around and eat Cheetos and don't do anything. But, I think that's kind of the same. They kind of go hand in hand. Being lazy, maybe loving cannabis has a little bit to demotivate you. Also, the technology plays a part. Another thing that is big in terms of the technology is the celebrity that we all want or crave.
Celebrity that we all want or crave, being the Kardashians.
I think it's the YouTube celebrity, it's the Instagrammer celebrity, the influencer, the people that have gotten popular from those platforms that have been so influenced by millennials that it's almost like, all right, so if someone that's like Joe Schmo can do it, then why can't I do it? Before it was like an elitist thing. You had to really work hard to become a model. You had to like go out to casting, go crazy just to get a modeling job. But now you post a picture on Instagram and you hope and pray that that one goes viral so that you can become Insta famous.
Insta famous. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. We have this idea that somehow if we try hard enough, we push ourselves to the extreme, we can make that one, oh my God, or whatever. That just is like,
Oh my God.
and now I'm instantly famous. But yeah. So, you know, yep. And that gives you what is known as millennial burnout. That is from trying to just be insta famous all the time. We suffer at a high rate from millennial burnout. But on a lighter note, we are, because there's a lot of bad things, and I think that in the heart of the hipster or the millennial, aka hipster, one might call millennials hipsters, although I am not a hipster.
He's looking like
I'm not.
we
I'm
are
not.
different.
I'm not a hipster. Okay, I want everybody to know up front. I am not a hipster.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad that's settled. But yeah, one thing that is very good about being a millennial, not a hipster, is
We're just gonna comment. Somebody says
that
you are a hipster.
okay, well, I don't even want to go there with you. Okay, so the next thing is, you know what, the last thing that I think we're gonna close off, because we're almost out of time here, is being multiracial. Is that we deal with the tough issues. We deal with the tough issues, but we are also lucky that we had the generations before us that fought the tough fights. And we have now this, multiracial kind of generation that we live in that's just way different than previous generations.
I agree. I think that we are you holding on to the mic? What do you mean here?
I can't let it go. I might not get it back.
No, because I agree strongly. I think that our generation fights the multiracial and inclusive, but really quick, but give me a second.
Cue the music.
No, I gotta say my piece. But what I feel like is that the generation after us, after the millennial generation, is going to be the ones to really make the change, and I hope that that's the case, because I say this because it's
She'd
so
like to
important.
thank the Academy um and above all God. But, okay, but it is 2 o'clock, folks, and that, you know what,
So something like yeah.
I know that before we went a little bit over an hour, but I like to keep my shows at an hour, almost exact. We're at an hour and 5 seconds. I apologize for wasting 5 seconds of your time. We're gonna make this sign off quick here. Thank you guys for listening to the Freedom Highway with Billy Sunday, your host, and my co-host, the man of the hour, Shim. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. And we will see you guys next week. Have a good evening.
I just dropped the mic.